In this video, we disclose the latest information on total income for retirees between the age of 65 and 74. Coming up next on Holy Schmidt.
Holy Schmidt!
If you've ever wondered how much the person sitting next to you at the restaurant receives in retirement income, there's a very good chance they'll never tell you. It won't come up in casual conversation. And if you ever have the audacity to actually ask the question, what you'll receive are a few choice words coming back at you from this individual. The reason is that money, like politics and religion, is a topic that's rarely discussed. So the best you can do under most circumstances is to use averages. In this video, we'll discuss the average household income for people between the ages of 65 and 74. This group tends to be reasonably consistent in how they spend their money. They're young enough so that their spending will be reasonably predictable. For example, if you are age 67 and you're well off and you enjoy traveling, there's a good chance that you'll spend the same amount there or thereabouts in travel as you would at, say, age 72 or 73, all else being equal. We use great data from the Survey of Consumer Finances. This is published by the Federal Reserve Board every 3 years, and the FRB uses and chooses 6,000 scientifically picked households for this information. This report was just released a few months ago in October of 2023, and it is based on data gathered through 2022, so it is about as fresh of information as you can possibly have. Let's discuss why benchmarking is important. Invariably, when I publish a video like this that uses benchmarks, I'll have commenters say, well, that's all well and good, but that has nothing to do with me, so I don't really care. And frankly, in some cases, this is true. This is particularly true if the recipient of the information has it available and does nothing with it. But awareness of financial information often improves financial performance because it causes people to ask better questions, like, what about me? Is there a way for me to get closer to that target? Can I improve my station in life even though I am already retired? By the way, the answer to that question is often yes, with better information. Benchmarking also helps people do a better job of thinking about things like risk and return and strategic decision making. A classic example on this is when to take Social Security or even when to retire. Or should you take seasonal employment at your old firm to improve the size of your nest egg? These are just a few of the big questions that can be asked if you have the right information in front of you. But there are also some real limitations when you benchmark, and knowing this will help you know why you're over or under the average, and make mental adjustments along the way to factor in the variables that might not apply to you. The biggest challenge is that this data is not compiled specifically for you. For example, if you are a 67-year-old ex-skilled blue-collar worker, like a home builder, an electrician, a plumber, etc., these numbers might look reasonably accurate, maybe a little high or a little low, but there or thereabouts complete. However, if you're 67 and you're looking at this information and you spent your career as a server at a local diner, these numbers will look incredibly high more than likely. And of course, if you're a 67-year-old who spent your career as a doctor, these numbers will look quite low in most cases. The point is that education and career choice has a lot to do with these numbers. The Survey of Consumer Finances shows this to be true. Let me explain. On average, those retirees without a high school diploma earn between 17 and 27% of the income of a college graduate. A retiree that had a high school diploma earned between 35 and 41% of someone who had a college degree. The reason that we have a range between 17 and 27%, for example, for someone without a high school diploma, is that each category has both mean income and median income. I'll explain what mean and median income mean, so to speak, in just a couple of minutes. Now, if a high school graduate earns 45% of what a college graduate earns over the course of their career, it's reasonable to assume that their retirement income will be directionally the same. By the way, this isn't predetermined. We've all heard the story about the janitor who passed at age 92 in this case and left a fortune to his heirs and to a variety of charities. Unlike some of the financial fables out there, this one's actually true. His name was Ronald Reed. He was a janitor and he was a gas station attendant, and he was in World War II, and he passed at age 92 in Brattleboro, Vermont. Upon Reed's passing, it was discovered that his estate was worth $8 million. The reason I use the words "it was discovered" is because nobody knew, not even his family. The only reason people discovered this at all, outside of his family, of course, was that Reed left generously a lot of money to two very specific charities, $1.2 million to a local library and $4.8 million to a local hospital. So it got out there. Reed always drove very used secondhand cars, and he kept his coats together with safety pins. So looking at him, you would have thought he was poor, and given his background, it would have been a logical assumption. Still, for most people, there tends to be a correlation between retirement income and income during one's working years. A high school graduate may not have exactly half the income of a college graduate, but it would be directionally more if you were a college graduate most of the time. Yes, there will be high school graduates that are millionaires and maybe even a billionaire or two if they own their own business. But by and large, it is approximately right because we're talking about scientifically selected families that represent the general population, not the exceptions. Also, those who live in and around cities earn more than those that live in rural areas. This makes sense intuitively because a world-class brain surgeon is more likely to be found in New York City than upstate New York. And when people retire, for the most part, they tend to stay where they actually worked because that's where their family is. The same can be said, by the way, for many professionals, although post-COVID, the lines are a little bit more blurred. Those that live in or around cities earn either 29% more or 148% more, depending on if you're talking about mean or median. Now, earlier I said this video is about household income. The label that the Survey of Consumer Finances uses is family income. What is family income? It includes all income, whether there was one or two earners in the lifetime and they're now receiving some form of retirement payment. But it doesn't include the kids' income, and it certainly doesn't include the grandparents' income if mom and dad move in with the retirees. Next is the question about tax. Are the numbers here presented before tax or after tax? Well, for clarity, they're presented before tax. It would be too hard to present after-tax income because, frankly, some people are really good at tax planning, while others not so much. Next is the retirement age. The population we're talking about are retirees between the ages of 65 and 74. Statistically, their income doesn't change much. It's early stage retirement. People are very active, and so it's a good proxy for those that are entering retirement or have just entered retirement. This means that if you're average and you're 67 in 2024, you'll spend your income about the same way as you would if you were age 72 in 2024, all things being equal. So you would take distributions about the same way in both scenarios. Where it changes is at 75 plus because things start to slow down above 75 for most people. And to be fair, some people it's 85 plus. It really depends on them. I personally know a 95-year-old who just started slowing down a few years ago. Finally, let's have a quick chat about average income. According to Webster's dictionary, average can mean the mean income, the median income, or the mode income. Mean means if you sum up all of the income of the people in the age category in the survey and you divide it by the number of people in the age category, you'll get an average. That is mean income. If you have 1,000 respondents in the 65 to 74-year-old category, for example, in the bottom 500 receive $40,000 per year and the top 500 receive $60,000 per year, the mean average will be $50,000 per year for that group. The problem is that life doesn't really work that way. Income can't go below zero, but the sky's the limit for a big earner when it comes to retirement income. If you're a mega millionaire or a billionaire in retirement, your retirement income is going to be huge, and that's going to drive the mean up if that individual is part of the survey. Statistically, they would be part of the survey. The better measure is the median number. This is the data point in the exact middle if you rank the income from highest to lowest or lowest to highest. Let me explain. If you have 1,001 respondents ranked from high to low, low to high, the 501st respondent, their income would be the median income. They are the point exactly in the middle. And if you had 1,000,001 respondents, it would be the 500,001st respondents data point that would be most relevant. You get the point. The last one is mode. Totally useless here. It is the number that appears most frequently. The reason that it's useless, by the way, is that if your household income is $50,000 and your neighbor on the right had income of $50,100 and her neighbor on her right had income of $50,200, and you did that 998 times in total, there would be no common income. But if numbers 999 and numbers 1,000 each had exactly $1 million of income, the mode income for that 1,000-person population or the 1,000 household population would be $1 million on average. With all that in mind, here are the averages. According to the Survey of Consumer Finance, the mean income for those between ages 65 and 74 is $142,500 per year. Now, at least two-thirds of you, maybe more than two-thirds of you, are saying, wait a minute, what went wrong? I'm nowhere near that number. Now, remember what I said, there are no negative income numbers in the survey. If you take the income from 1,000 people and you have some mega earners and mega savers by extension, or someone like Ronald Reed who saved everything, those individuals are going to skew the numbers way up. The number that you want to compare yourself to more than likely is the median number. That's the point in the exact middle, as I discussed before. According to the October 2023 Survey of Consumer Finances, the median income for those 65 to 74 is $60,900. That's 43% of the mean number. It's also a more accurate representation of reality for most of you. And for those of you interested in the 75 plus category, the mean income number was $107,900. The median was $49,100. So it went down due to the fact that people are less active in this age category. Lastly, for those who care, how did these numbers change compared to the Survey of Consumer Finances that was released in 2020? So it would have been 2019 data. In 2020, the mean income number for those between ages 65 and 74 was $125,000. So it has risen 14% since that last survey. In 2020, the data for those 65 to 74 showed a median income of $58,100. That's an increase of 5% in the most recent survey. This is Jeff Schmidt. Thanks for watching.